Hey, on today's podcast, we talk about McDonald's introducing a plant sandwich. We talk about Kohl's and a potential sale. We talk about a mini story, and we finish it off with an IRL segment. We also talk about me and my strategies for coping with my anger. So let's start this podcast. Hey, welcome to the Thinking is Infinite podcast with Joe
and John.
And we're going to be talking about a variety of pretty cool stuff today.
Yeah, how you doing, Joe? How's
doing well.
The late January treating you? The weather's starting to get cold, right?
Yeah, it's starting to get freezing cold.
I know. We even had some snow this morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, you know what? We're coming off of the last episode we had, which was about a week and a half ago. We had a lot of fun on that one, and I was really surprised to hear the bonus segment with Ryan. I remember I talked to you about it, but I didn't know you were going to do it, and I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, it was actually quite a lot of fun. We predicted, like our sports predictions. We kind of went over that.
And Ryan went 3 out of 4 in his predictions. Of the 4 games, he got 3 of them right. I was very impressed with Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know, so much so that I asked him to give me the predictions yesterday, and he never got back to me on his text message. But that's okay.
Yeah.
So maybe next week he can give me his predictions.
He was actually watching the game, and he did predict that the LA Rams will win against the Buccaneers, which they did.
I wish I knew that beforehand.
Yeah. He actually did predict that because he said that Tom Brady, he's kind of he's very old. He's much older, so that's kind of a thing.
He's still younger than me, though, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but he's older for a football player.
For an NFL player, yes, of course. Yeah, you know what? And one of the things, if you were going back and you're a longer time listener to our podcast, we got away from it for the last few episodes in December.
But we're going to go back to it.
We're going to go back to it as the first segment, talking a little bit about special needs. And for anyone who doesn't know already, it was new to the show and the podcast. Joe is on the autism spectrum, extraordinarily high functioning, as you will hear, and he's come a long way in his life, and he's done so much accomplished, especially in the last few years. And that's one of the subjects I wanted to talk to him about today. Is he's got a younger brother, and sometimes he's given some great advice to his younger brother recently, and it was something that I thought, well, hey, this is a really good topic to talk about on our podcast, Joe. So one of the things I want you to get into with the audience is when you were younger and a change or something that made you feel uncomfortable, you would typically struggle with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you do you remember a lot of that?
I actually do. I remember that at your place I would often struggle quite a bit. I remember that I would struggle with major changes. Like if I tried to get into a normal classroom setting, mainly a normal gym setting, I'd be very overwhelmed. I remember that I'd be stressed at that. I also remember, like I said, at your place, I kind of had a bunch of I would get angry because, I wasn't really at the same environment and I couldn't calm down in the same way, so.
Well, it's something you've overcome so well that I'd like for you to talk to the audience about some of the things that you learned and you've done throughout the years that have made you who you are today and someone that can handle differences in different environments.
So, it was kind of a bit of a long journey. At age, I think around 10, I started to get a little better with it. This was after a large thing with in 4th grade. I kind of had a little bit of a conflict.
I remember that.
Yeah, that one. I got a bit better with trying to handle my anger, and then at probably at 11 or 12, that's when things really started to pick up because I managed to get a psychiatrist who's been able to help me with a lot of these issues, and he's really been able to get new techniques to calm me down. I've kind of come up with my own stuff that I do. I have the medication, which is working well. So overall, just a pretty good combination of the 3.
Now, what in specific, let's just say right now you get something different or stresses you out or quick change. I've noticed, So let's just say, we're all driving in the car and your brother's in the back and he wants to go somewhere and you want to go somewhere different. And as we discuss it, we go where Ryan goes. How were you able to overcome that? Because I remember that when you were maybe 10 years old, you would really struggle with something like that. What do you do internally that helps you with the change?
Well, nowadays I don't really care as much. That's that simple about that.
Right.
For that, I just don't really care. It's like I used to really want something, have my mind fixated on it, and then when I couldn't get that thing that I really, really wanted, I'd get pretty pissed. But at this point, I'm kind of I don't really care what I get, as long as it's something that has the things that I like. As long as it's chicken and fries, which the majority of these fast food places do, I don't really care where we go as much anymore. But for other things, like I said, some of them I've just stopped caring. Some of them I just kind of accept it. Okay, whatever, I'll just do whatever you want because, if he really is making a big deal out of something, I'll just say, okay, whatever.
Well, it's more...
And then in other cases...
it's more... I'm talking more generally.
And then, well, like I said, this is kind of what happens because, like I said, it varies. In some cases, like I said, it kind of get whatever. But in other cases, I just kind of compromise. I'm okay, I'll do what I want in X. If you do, you can do what you want in a part of Y. So we'll kind of come to a deal, and that kind of happens a lot too. So
how about the adjustment last year, going from being in school all the time and then being remote? Did that play a role? Was that difficult for you to adjust to?
Actually, yes, but in an odd way. You see, I did not sleep the same after that. I would often sleep very late, and I'd wake up very early. So I would often have struggles with sleep and drowsiness. I'd often actually fall asleep either during class or during my lunch break and then miss a class. So it wouldn't exactly be good, and I did manage to overcome that. Yeah, I managed to get myself back on track. It took a few months, but I managed to kind of get through it. One thing that was different about remote is I kind of felt off with the technology. I feel it wasn't that huge of a change because we'd already been doing some of the Google Classroom stuff and things before that. But I could understand that if you're in elementary school, probably is a lot bigger of a change. I know my brother Ryan, he had to go through quite a lot because he'd often have struggles with doing the assignment on these online tools, and my mom wouldn't know how to help him because she didn't know what these tools did, and the teacher also didn't know. So it's also a bit more of a struggle in elementary school when they don't know these tools. In middle school and high school, at least in my middle school and high school, all the teachers know these tools, so they're able to help you more, and you're able to use them better.
Now, if one last piece, I would love for you to give a small piece of advice. Obviously, it's things like therapy and you maturing and getting to the point where you can kind of compromise and it doesn't really affect you as much. But, if you had to reach out and talk to someone who, I heard you give good advice to your brother, like the breathing techniques and stepping away. And is there anything you can offer like that that's maybe not something like a doctor or a medication or maturity? What would be the best piece of advice for you to give to someone who was younger? Let's just say you were talking to someone who's going into junior high for the first time and they struggle, and someone who's like yourself who may be on the spectrum and struggles a little bit. What piece of advice would you give that person?
Well, there are multiple techniques that work for different people, and you kind of have to find the right one for you. For me, that technique has always been finding a place where I can go to in case I have a situation. So that might be out in the hall. If I'm at school, I might go out in the hall. If I'm angry, I might go by the door. And I go to that place and vent just about why I'm angry or stressed or whatever. And by the time I'm done, the stress goes away or the anger goes away.
Okay, now what are you doing during that time? The same thing as at home. I know you must have your bedroom where you feel safer and stuff. But what are you doing during that time to bring yourself from maybe a 10 to to like, 10 being the most stressed, to a 4 or 3 where you're okay again?
Well, it's usually just me, like, venting to myself, like, oh, well, this is so bad, blah, 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 just me really letting it out and letting it out of my system, and then it just kind of leaves. It's kind of like it dissipates, It does work for me, at least, but like I said, there are other techniques too. There's like deep breaths, there's, sometimes you just count to like 100, and then by the time you're done, you just forget why you're mad. And there are other things that work for other people, so you have to really, like, find one and then remember to use it when you're stressed or angry.
Yeah. I'm Joe. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and some of your experiences. And, I don't know if we're always going to be hitting the special needs topic every week, but it's always good to touch base with it once again. And I think that's something we should be doing more often, right?
Yeah, I feel like, just giving advice to people with special needs is kind of like a good thing.
It's a wonderful thing, and as things come up, we will certainly incorporate them into future podcasts. All right. Well, thank you very much for everyone, and thank you very much, Joe, for sharing, and thank you everyone for listening.
We're going to go on our next segment.
All right. Welcome to this segment of our podcast, and Joe and I, we typically do some type of show prep during the course of the week. So I kind of pressed Joe to see if he could figure some topics that he would love to discuss. And Joe hit me with a few today, and we decided to talk about them. So Joe, why don't you take the stage at this point and talk about what you wanted to discuss today?
Yeah, there have been 3 actually very interesting articles that have come out, and I really want to talk about them. So first one is McDonald's. We're gonna get this one kind of out of the way first. McDonald's is actually introducing a new, like, plant-based sandwich. They call it, like, they're McPlant or something, and it's apparently in partnership with Beyond Meat, which introduces, like, plant-based burgers and things, and they're trying to cater to, like, vegetarians and things like that. But the odd thing is that they're made on the same grill that contains the burgers.
Okay, so for the true vegan, it may not be something that they want because it's actually sitting on the same grill that the regular Big Mac is.
Yeah.
And you know what? I remember, Joe, now if anyone who's in this podcast audience knows that Joe really loves the topic of restaurants and retail stores and fast food places, so he really studies the history behind them, and I'm fascinated by how much he learns. In that article, did they talk about how they tried this once before?
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that they had other things. I don't remember about McDonald's trying, but I do remember that they've tried, like, other healthy things. They tried, like, mixed salads. McDonald's, they had, like, salad shakers where you, like, shake the cup and, like, you'd have, like, a salad in there. I remember they had, like, McDonald's wraps, which were also discontinued. I also remember that Burger King launched, like, something with Impossible Foods. And, Dunkin' Donuts was probably the most recent one. They introduced a, like, veggie burger with, was it Impossible or Beyond? I think it was Beyond, and they also kind of flopped. So, vegan burgers, I feel like, aren't as popular. There are some that have worked, but that's mainly if they have they have to have, like, a different grill.
So it's called the McPlant, right? I think it's going to be called.
I think so, yeah.
The thing that makes me, I think I remember them trying something like this in the past. Now, I may be wrong, but, and I thought I remember they tried it, didn't work. I have my doubts that these things work. I guess they're going to have to test kitchen it and see how it goes. I've tried the Impossible Burger once before at home. I barbecued it, and I wouldn't do it again. It had a weird smell, Joe. It really didn't smell. It didn't smell right, and it kind of, like, it fell apart in the grill, like it fell through. Like,
it has, like, a different texture. Yeah.
So I don't know if you when I'm sure obviously if it got to the point of in production in McDonald's that they've ironed out some of those issues. but I didn't. I was a little underwhelmed with it. Did you hear about KFC? They do the chicken nuggets that aren't chicken.
Oh yeah, I heard. Yeah. Wait, did we talk about that?
No, we
we actually didn't. Oh my god. I thought we did, but no. I remember that they did like. They actually are. I think they're still doing it. They had like. They have like chicken that's not chicken, so they have like is it with Beyond or something? I don't know.
It might be with Beyond.
I don't know. I think it might be because I think it is with Beyond. And KFC also has like meatless chicken, and that's kind of a newer one than meatless burgers. Meatless burgers have been around for longer.
When it comes to the meatless stuff, every once in a while I'll buy there's a brand that you buy from the supermarket you bring home. It's called Morningstar Farms, and sometimes I'll every once in a while I'll get a veggie burger just as an alternative to regular meat. Now the one thing I've noticed with these McDonald's ones, this KFC one, I saw a picture online a week ago saying that the KFC chicken nuggets, the fake chicken nuggets or whatever those are, the Beyond Meat nuggets, are more fattening than like a Big Mac. So you might as well, not a Big Mac, it was like a quarter pounder or something like that. So I'm going, oh my God. So if you're looking from a health standpoint, it's not really even worth it, I don't think. I guess maybe the type of fats are in it. Maybe it's a little less on the saturated fats, but I didn't see much of a difference from a calorie standpoint. So if you're dieting, I'm not sure the Beyond Meat is for you. But if you don't like eating meat, then it might be a good alternative.
Maybe, but like that's also a very small portion because the vegetarians and the vegans are cut off, and those are mainly the types of people who don't eat meat or just vegans and vegetarians. And those people can't eat these things because oftentimes they're cooked on the same grill or whatever, using the same equipment as the actual meat products. I don't know about KFC's, they might have done it differently, but most of, like, the burgers, they're cooked on the same grill as the kind of the other stuff is, which kind of dooms the product. Like, if you're going to launch this type of product and have more, like, fattening and stuff, you want to at least have it so that it's cooked on different equipment, or it has less fat. You want to have one of the two, but it's also kind of hard to do that.
I mean, the places, a lot of these restaurants, they've gone through their phases, and they seem to try the latest fad quite often. I personally don't think the Beyond Meat is going to work in fast food places. I think it may have a place in something like a Chipotle or like a Moe's Grill, or some type of where you can get it on a burrito instead of because sometimes when people go to like a Chipotle or a Moe's Mexican grill, they get more of they want to eat a little more healthy. I really don't think there's a market in a fast food place for the Beyond Meats, but I might be wrong. But I know they're very popular. I've heard of it, the Beyond Meat Impossible Burgers and stuff like that. But I'm not so sure if it's going to work. What else you got, Joe? I know you're talking about another subject in
odd
retail,
story,
right?
In retail. Kohl's is actually, they're actually looking at a sale. They've had multiple bids from different bidders. One was like a company called Sycamore Partners or whatever. And like there was another bid from another company called like Acadia for like 6 billion or something, 9 billion or something. And they have had multiple bidders that want to buy Kohl's, like multiple like capital firms and things.
Now, are they doing okay? Are they doing well? Are they not doing well? What's the reason why
they're being... It's kind of odd because they're doing kind of well, but they're stagnating. You know what I mean? They haven't been showing the growth that investors want. So they have to try to pursue a sale now.
Yeah, well, retail, I'm sure retail took a hit over the last few years as far as the walking in department stores because of what happened with
COVID.
Shopping and everything. Yeah, of course. I know the Kohl's that's near me looks great. They have that Sephora, right? Is that what it is? Sephora in there, and it really looks nice in there, and so they are keeping it clean. They have good clothes. I think you'd have to be smart when you shop there, because a lot of the deals are better when you have the cash, the Kohl's cash, or things are on sale or off season. But it's a little expensive, Kohl's, so I could see them maybe struggling a little bit. Now, how is this going to affect the brand? How is it going to affect the general consumer walking in? Did they mention that at all?
Actually, no, because none of these bids have really, like, gone through. Because the thing is, they're considering it. It's not like they're at that phase where you can kind of, like, tell, okay, this is how it's going to affect people, this is how it's going to affect the brand, and this is how it will raise the brand's confidence. You don't really know, because we don't really know who will actually prevail, or even if Kohl's is going to sell. It's possible that Kohl's is just going to say, yeah, we don't want to sell, and, just move on. They're considering selling, but that doesn't mean they actually will. So it's kind of interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. And maybe they'll also expand upon, like, these partnerships with the new owners. Maybe they'll incorporate some of, like, the other brands these capital firms own, because I think they probably own other stuff. Or maybe they'll have, like I said, more third-party partnerships to expand the stores. Perhaps maybe even they'll cut down on that type of stuff, depending on what they decide to do. So it could affect things, but we don't know how yet.
Okay, all right. So, something new is coming out of Kohl's, maybe, or possibly. Now, are they publicly traded, or are they privately
They're publicly traded, yeah, I think they are.
So, I mean, it should be interesting to see what happens with retail. I know Joe was ahead of the curve when it came to Sephora, because you were talking about it on one of our first, I think it was our first podcast, Joe. And then and there it was a month or two later, I saw it in the Kohl's. So keep us in the loop on what's going on with Kohl's, Joe, in the future podcast, because you know what, it is a place that's around a lot of them, and it's a pretty big store, and they seem to be at least trying to adjust to the new times. So it should be interesting, because things that they're going to do are things that other companies are going to do, right?
Yeah.
And what other stories? I think you have one more, right?
There's one little mini story. It's actually pretty weird. It was this toddler, and he basically, the problem was they left a bunch of items, a bunch of furniture it was actually Walmart. In like a Walmart, they had like a cart. They put a bunch of furniture in their cart, he checked out. They're like the online shopping cart, and then they left. But then the toddler went into the phone somehow and just bought all the stuff. He just pressed checkout, and they had like $2,000 worth of furniture or something delivered.
Hilarious. So the parents didn't know it got ordered.
Well, not until it started coming.
Oh my goodness! So how old was this kid? Do you remember?
I think he was 2.
Oh, geez. So a little 2-year-old. So, yeah. All right. So parents, if you have young kids, do not. If you're gonna leave it in the shopping cart, lock your screen or something. Make sure that kid was probably at a restaurant. His parents probably gave him the phone and said, "Here, just be quiet."
Well, they probably was just like tapping buttons, like here's a pretty button, just like, especially because all the buttons are like orange, which kind of attracts kids, especially like they are attracted to like bright colors. So you probably just pressed the button and then said like, "Thank you, your order's being shipped."
You know what? I would love to see that article and see if the kid got good deals, because if he got good deals, he might be an influencer, right? He can go out and shop for parents or check out. I wonder if he did the robot thing. It says, "Are you a robot?" and you have to click on which one of the hills, and he must have got them all right.
I don't think he did.
Maybe the kid thought it was a game, like a learning game. Like, click on the motorcycles. 1, 2, 3. I picked out 3 motorcycles, right? The robot game.
Yeah, I've actually, I don't really know. I feel like the robot stuff, it's kind of odd. I've actually done that before. I've had to do that for, like, school. Sometimes even for, like, school websites, they'll literally say, like, "Are you a robot?" And I'm like, what? I don't know, like, who's trying to hack into school websites. I guess because, personal info could be there, but...
You know what I hate on those things? When it says, like, click on the crosswalk, right? And the crosswalk, it'll be, like, 1, 2... There'll be easy ones. And then, like, there's a tiny bit of the crosswalk in one of the other squares. Now, do you click on it, or do you not click on it?
No, you have to click on it.
You have to click on it. Doesn't it make you nervous? You're like, am I supposed to click on it? It's barely on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to click on every square that includes includes it, meaning like even if it is a small portion of it, you still have to click on it.
Tiny
And
thing.
like, yeah, I've seen that before too.
And I'm 48 years old, Joe. I can't see anymore, so I'm looking on these things, and it says click on the hills. I'm like, is that a hill or is that a mountain? Is that just trees? I can't see it, and they're making me click on these things. So I've been the robot. I've been denied.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of funny.
Anyway, I don't like those. I hope they go away. But I know that 2-year-old probably got them all right, and he got his Amazon shipment, right, Joe?
Well, maybe. And anyways, that concludes this segment. We're moving on to our IRL. And we're here for our IRL segment, and this is actually something that is actually happening in my real life. So
yeah, so that's what we call the IRL section in our little Jeep Cherokee studios, and Joe and I take a little drive, and we do a little bit of chatting and talking a little bit about the podcast, about what we're doing in life. So Joe is, if you've listened to previous episodes, Joe is in his broadcast club at school, right, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
And you've gotten on air once before,
yeah,
and you sounded amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we even played it on one of our episodes. I think it was in December, right, Joe? First or second week of December.
Yeah, it was.
Played it. Mm-hmm. Joe did a great job on it, and he's really enjoying this, the broadcast club. So, Joe, you were just telling me, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about it, that you're going to be changing tasks soon in the broadcast club. So, talk to me about what type of things that are on the table that you might be doing, and tell me what you'd want most out of all the things.
Well, there are a bunch of different jobs in the broadcasting program. That's what I like about it so much, because there are so many things. You have the audio, like the audio person. There's the teleprompter, the one that the news anchors use. You have the script supervisor, the one that looks over the script and tells the TriCaster when to transition.
Mm-hmm.
You have the TD, the technical director who operates the TriCaster. You have the actual anchors themselves. I actually might be getting an anchor position. I don't know. Because I actually, we did auditions last week. They said I did really well, so I might be getting a position in that.
So you might be the anchor.
Maybe.
Now, all right, so on the broadcast, they do once a week, right? Is that what they do? They put it out?
Well, they actually, no, because they have multiple different shows, and they put it on different days. The Mondays, we shoot, one of our, it's a very short, mini thing about what's going on, this week in the program and, what you can expect from it. Tuesday, we do a segment about, the middle of the week. We film it on, Tuesdays, and we put it out on Wednesdays. Wednesday, we do, an interview segment where we talk about, the things going around in the school. Mm-hmm. And we also do the that segment that I was on, What Is That? And then on Thursday, we actually do the rest of, the morning announcements for that Friday. And, so we have, stuff pretty much every day. And even on Friday, we do, other stuff and, other B&B shows.
So the anchor will be on one of those shows?
If
you're able to get
possibly,
the anchor?
if I can get that, yeah.
Wow, Joe, that'd be fantastic. I thought you did a fantastic job on your What Is That segment. I thought you were great. I wouldn't be surprised if you were given this opportunity. If you're not, what would be your second choice of all the things there?
Well, there's a lot of them. I would, the thing is, I would say TD, but I feel like I'm not qualified enough to do that yet. I will get there eventually, but at this point, I would not be able to do that.
And that's called the technical director?
Yeah, the TriCaster is very complicated. There are a lot of buttons on that thing, so I would not be able to work it. So I would actually say script supervisor, kind of working with the TriCaster, just so I can kind of learn more about it, kind of lean over, observe while I'm working. And I can kind of get more experience and really observe what's going on with the TriCaster, so I can learn it better.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, Joe, I can't wait to find out. Now, when are you finding out when it's going to be?
Actually, this Friday.
Oh, great. You got to let me know, and you got to let the audience know. We'll talk about it. We'll catch up on the next IRL, and you'll find out what Joe did end up getting into for the next segment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the podcast, Joe. What are you thinking so far? We were talking about trying to enhance it, trying to get better. Any ideas for what you're thinking?
I'm thinking we could try to. Oh my god!
Edit out the coughs.
Yes,
in
we should
future episodes.
do that. But also we could like try to eliminate background noise and like a lot of these roads they have a lot of like background noise. You could see like hear like the potholes and things.
Well,
and also, IRL is supposed to be like that, but like in other segments, maybe it's not as appropriate to use background noise. So we can kind of get rid of that. We can also like silence, like I said, certain like very loud things like my coughs and so like I burped in one of the segments, and we could like silence those out.
Well, I think
just do better in that.
sometimes people like the genuine nature of how things go, and sometimes
That's
things
true.
are sometimes things aren't perfect.
That's true.
You know, I think more funny segments, Joe. I think that's one of the things I'd love to see us do is to incorporate more humor, because I think you're a very funny guy, and I think there's a lot of funny out there. You know, so I think we've been trying to keep it light, and we're going to continue to do that, because I think it's important to keep things light and not be doldrum and not talk about negative topics. We like to keep it positive, so I think that's what we're going to continue to do in the future, right, buddy?
Yep, we are, and
we just want to thank you all for listening.
Thank you all,
and thank you for sharing it.
We will see you on our next episode.
Yep, love you. Take care, guys.
See you next week. And that concludes our podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and give a follow. And that's it. See you next week. Bye.